Sukino Bhavantu. Om. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Holistic Hatha Yoga Podcast. I am Kelsey, and I'm here to be your guide on this journey. So welcome. Welcome back if you are I was going to say fellow listener, as if I'm like a listener, but I'm the creator. But I very much am also the listener here. So, yeah, if you're a fellow listener or a follower, I should say, of the podcast, or if you're a newbie. So welcome anyway that you are. I hope this finds you well. And, yeah, I wanted to pop on here today and talk about the sacredness of the number 108 and what that means and why it's so significant in the yoga world, why mala beads have 108 beads on them, why we chant things 108 times, 108, sorry, I mumbled a lot there, 108 times. Sun salutations can be done in those rhythms. And yeah, so let's dive into all of it. So there's a lot of auspiciousness that goes along with the number 108, and it is, we'll start with what the number one thing, a mala necklace, or it's basically the Hindu or Buddhist also equivalent of like the rosary, like of the Catholic rosary. So you say the mantra or a different mantra, typically the same mantra, at each bead. And you make your way around the necklace. And once you get back to that tassel part, you know that you have completed the 108 repetitions. So we do that because 108 is said to be a number that aligns you with the universe or with God or with source or with your higher power, whatever you want to call it. That 108 is like just a natural resonance number that brings you into your truth, into your authenticity, into yourself, your deepest self, and also your highest self, which I love because it's kind of a paradox, you know. You say your deepest self, and like deep you think down, but then you say highest self and you think up. And the thing is that they meet, you know, if like almost like going around a globe. If you go north long enough and south long enough, and you're both those two things moving in the same line, they'll meet at some point on the other side. So that is kind of like our soul, you know, that's like we're the depth and the height of it and understanding the connection of it all and the depth and like the unity on the other side of it. So 108 is said to bring us into that rhythm. Patanjali has 108 yoga sutras. There's 108 Upanishads or verses in the original books. And this number just kind of keeps popping up and is within just natural significance. There's 108 pithas or sacred sites in India. A lot of this knowledge and the relations do come from India. However, like these things are also so ancient, which is why I find it so interesting because it's like this deep, deep universal truth that had been just passed down for thousands of years. And it's quite mind blowing. Buddhists believe that there are 108 earthly desires to overcome here in our lifetimes, in our however many cycles of life and death that takes you. We are here to overcome those 108 earthly desires, is their belief. I love Buddhism. I wouldn't call myself a Buddhist necessarily. I don't practice any organized religion, but I do love and take in and understand the lessons that a lot of different um, philosophies or religions have. Um, and Buddhism has a lot of beautiful things. I think um, I agree with most of it, to be honest. But there's the soul concept. I don't know. Is kind of like described funky there. I feel so. That's where I differentiate. In Tibetan Buddhism, their sacred text has 108 volumes. So again, something in that India region. Tibet is like that Nepalese and India and that kind of area over there. Um, and so still like regionally, that number just continues to reign through. Um, in Jainism, which I love a lot too. It's very similar as far as just as Buddhism, um, and it is just another really beautiful life philosophy. Um, but they say that there's 108 ways of karma influx, or different ways that your karma can, yeah, basically keep you trapped in death and rebirth, which is very much similar to the 108 earthly desires to overcome in Buddhism. Strikingly similar. So, yeah, it's these things where it's like, I don't adhere to any one symbol, like situation. Like they're all stating very much the same thing. And if you can just understand that, and that all of these people stand in their truth when they speak these things, and that all of these sacred texts have their own truths, because these people were, I believe, speaking their truth, their spiritual truth and what they understood it to be in ways that they could communicate that um, with absolute truth, and so there's no way that just one person throughout all of it was the only person to understand it. Like, get fucking real. Like, there's gonna be a lot of people who exist throughout time and eternity that figure it out and are like, hey, but it's like the early bird is the one who like gets murdered. um, or I should say like the early worm, I guess, gets murdered in this one, the first one to pop out of the mud and say, hey, we're godly creatures and we're co-creators with the universe and we're really, really powerful and we can manifest anything we want and we can set our intentions and really bring upon anything and we're really powerful and we can speak to each other telepathically and we're godly beings and blah, blah, blah. Of course they're gonna get murdered. Of course, in a society of where people are just, yeah, stuck in the mud and not awake yet, not conscious to their own soul, to our own interconnectedness with everything around us, of course those people who pop up and say, hey, we're all connected, hey, we have control, blah, 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 we can just love one another and live in peace, of course those people were ridiculed and murdered because they were a threat to society. They were a threat to the powers that be, and they were murdered, and they were gotten rid of. And it's not so easy to just get rid of everybody now. But also, you don't have so many people walking around saying they're a prophet or whatever. But even so, to just even live out a spiritual life is damn near rebellion at this point, which is scary. It's a little bit wild, my friends, but we're just here to speak from love. I'm not gonna go from a fear mongering standpoint, but it is wild that a spiritually led or spiritually attuned life is almost scoffed at these days, which is really sad. But anyway, back to 108, back to the significance and like the where it just continuously pops up. In Ayurveda, so that is Indian medicine, um, they recognize 108 marma points, or like vital marma points, they say. And marma points are like kind of like just important points where tissues and stuff come together, where organs are, where energy points are crossing, where major things are fucking happening. Are marma points. But there's 108 of these points that you can use, or are good telltales throughout, to manage your pranic energy flow. To, like if you're blocked somewhere, they can, throughout knowing of this chart and knowing where these 108 points are, they can really help pinpoint. It's almost like acupuncture, acupressure type ideas of like the grid lines, and marma points are very similar to like the acupuncturist grid lines on the body and whatnot. So again, all very much connected. That whole eastern area, obviously regionally, is very close, and shared a lot of knowledge throughout humanity. So yeah, I think that's why I love and look to Eastern philosophy and things a lot, is because like as a US citizen, as someone born and raised in northern Michigan, and yes, I've gone out and seen the world, but again, I understand I was born and raised in a very small place in the middle of the woods on a peninsula surrounded by massive lakes. And not very many people live here. Anyway, but let alone, like I've spoken about in past episodes, like America is such a little baby, and we don't really have any necessarily ingrained culture or ingrained religion. And so to really dive into that stuff, it's like, okay, we have these few different churches here, but they're all Christian faith, and I'm trying to not do that. So it's like, if I want to, go to like the nearest like Hindu temple, I was looking it up the other day, is Detroit, Michigan, which I wasn't shocked about, but um, that's like a 4 hour drive for me. And like, I'm not gonna go do that anytime soon. Love to go visit, but that's not gonna be in my daily, weekly life. Um, so maybe that's what I need to do, is just start a temple up here, way up in the north. Anyway, but yeah, so Ayurveda recognizes these points, and there's 108 of them. Fancy that. Fancy that. It gets weirder, friends. It gets weirder. There's said to be 108 energy points that all converge at your heart chakra. And this is like pretty close to like all of the, I don't know, like the neurological connections or something like that. I don't know exactly, but there is a lot of shit converging right there at your heart. And um yeah, these ancient sages always said there's 108 nadis converging there. And I'm just gonna go with that, because these guys they did not have x-rays. They did not have like the technology we have now to know what really is inside, other than just feeling it and experiencing it, which you can kind of see it if you feel it, really, if you dive deep. But in the mind's eye, I suppose. But I'm just gonna take their word for it on that. I believe that 100%. Um, it's also in tradition, I guess, to do 108 sun salutations, as this could be seen as like a celebration or like a reset. So I've seen this done for full moon ceremonies. I've seen this done for sunrise ceremonies. I've seen this done for summer solstice celebrations, a super popular time to do 108 sun salutations, because as the name infers, it is salutations to the sun. And so it's us um, basically doing our bowing and whatnot in for the sun and appreciating that light energy. Um, I've done this a few different times, and I was guided by a lovely, lovely teacher, my lovely teacher, Stephanie. She is the most dearest, sweet little woman, and I just love her. I'm still in contact with her these days. I met her a very long time ago, and she was my very first yoga teacher. So, yeah, there was definitely some great energy there. But I met her at a Buddhist Zen temple, and I was a poor, starving art student, and I couldn't afford yoga classes, obviously, because, like I said, starving art student. But I had gone to this temple for meditation stuff, um, and that was all like community based, because so you could just like toss a like couple dollars in the basket, and that was okay for the 15 to 30 minute session or whatever. Um, but the yoga classes were like drop in $20 or something like that, like pretty normal, you know. But at the bottom of her little like flyer, whatever thing on the web page, I don't even remember, it was like, but if like money is an issue, you know, send me an email and we can chat about a barter situation or something like that. So I sent her an email. I'm like, hey, I'd love to do it, but yeah, I am a starving art student, and so like, what can I do to like participate? And she's like, would you be willing to sweep up the floor, like the shala floor, after class? I said that really like steppy. I like was trying to remember exactly what she had asked me to do, but yeah, it was like sweep. I couldn't remember if it was sweep and mop or just sweep. Either way, like clean up the yoga floor after class. Um, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. And so I would go for free, quote unquote, for free. But then after everyone left, I would, you know, sweep up and whatnot. So it was perfect. I fucking loved it. Anyway, so it was in that space um, that I practiced the 108 sun salutations for the first time ever, and that Stephanie taught me the OG badass way to do it, because I was like 108, like how the fuck am I even gonna remember, like keep track? There's no fucking way. Like how do I do that? Um, without like a pen and paper next to me to like tally or some bullshit like that. But what she's what she suggested was, and she brought a bunch of rocks with her, a bunch of little pebbles, um, was everybody grabs 10 rocks and you lay them on the left side of your mat, and then um, as you do sun salutation, you count up to 10. So counting up to the 10 is easy enough, and it's also difficult enough that you have to keep your attention. So you count to the 10, and when you reach the 10, you grab one rock from the left side and you move it to the right side of your mat. And then you count another 10, and then you grab the next rock and move it to the left, from the left to the right. So you move, and then you get all the way to 10. And so after you get all the 10 rocks over there, you know you've gotten to 100. And then you just have to do 8 more, and then that's 108. So I thought that was like the most clever shit in the world. I was like, this is fucking genius. But anyway, so I always love and enjoy doing that. So maybe we'll have to set up something for this coming solstice, because that would be lovely. So anyway, um, that's another way that we use 108 to, again, doing the 108 sun salutations is again to like realign your entire body to this sacred number, to this godly being, to this source energy, to this universal energy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. This one also blows my mind. So like, it's like, okay, all these numbers, these people just maybe made it up and said it's all good and this is like the sacred number or whatever. But then this one's kind of trippy. but it's the sun and the earth and the moon relation. And this is basically where the distance from the earth to the sun is 108 times the sun's diameter. So as big as the sun is, it can like make it its way 108 times approximately to earth. And then the distance from the earth to the moon is approximately 108 times the moon diameter. So like diameter of the moon, 108 times, boom, you're at earth. That's kind of wild. That's some like nature aligning with the 108 where it's like, okay, then maybe they are onto something. Maybe there's a ratio something going on here, like a pi, like a 3.14 whatever, blah 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 blah. Some sort of mathematical perfection, Fibonacci, bleh, Fibonacci. Oh my God, I can't say this word. Fibonacci. Yes? Fibonacci sequence. There we go. I can say it finally. Thank God. Anyway, so yeah, the Earth, the Sun, the Moon, the 108 times. That one kind of blows my mind. And I'm like, all right, you were possibly, yeah, getting some really intense downloads from the universe and or astral projecting and just seeing all of it all come together. And this is what you came back and you're like, hey, 108, man, it's a thing. And we just need to believe it when people say stuff like that. Like Jesus, like Muhammad, like all of them, like Krishna, all of them. We gotta believe the downloads. But to go on with 108 and the rest of history and stuff, not just so India centric, but even like with the zodiacs, there are 12 signs and there are 9 planets, and 12 times 9 is 108. Yes, there's 9 planets. Pluto is a planet. I will never think that Pluto is not a planet. So, yeah. Reason number 108 why I will probably start homeschooling my children soon. Because, like, I don't even know that I believe almost anything that they teach at public schools in the United States anymore. I don't even agree with the way they do math. You shouldn't be able to argue about how to do arithmetic, in my opinion. There's no arguing about it. It's very simple. Anyway, that's a different rant. Let's get back to 108. But yes, so there are 9 planets. That is a hill I will die on. I have I have 3 planets tattooed on my arm, and one of them is Pluto because it is a planet. And yes, like that's how strongly I guess I believe that Pluto is a planet. Um, and in Indian astrology, again, yep, I will fall back to India again. In there are 27 lunar constellations or nakshastras. I really butchered that word, I'm sure. And each of those 27 have 4 quarters to them, or padas. Um, and 27 times 4 is 108. Back to nature and geometry and math. With the shape of a pentagon, the interior angles are at 108. In the Sanskrit alphabet, one of the oldest, if not the oldest. I don't know that there really is an older one. I'm gonna have to Google that. I think it's the oldest written language historically is Sanskrit. But there's 54 letters, but each has a masculine and feminine way about it, and so, or a Shiva or Shakti, if we're going to be historically correct. And 54 times 2 is 108. So again, we just keep seeing this number over and over and over again coming back into our reality. And so, as humans, as beings, as a soul within a body that has to take care of the body that it's within, aligning that body and making sure that that body is attuned with its natural surroundings and its highest truth and its depth and its soul, um, aka you, aka everyone, aka the world and universe. I know it's a lot. It sounds like it's a lot, but it's really not. It's like it's truly just like getting to your heart center and like moving from that space. Always. Like just always coming back to that space. And not to say that anyone's perfect. That's not what we're saying, but the aim is to, come back to that space, come back to that heart space, come back to that soul space and move from there. Um, and yeah, when you catch yourself off or moving from a different place, recentering yourself and or blowing off the steam and coming back to that center. Just always coming back to that center is really our job here. And so, um, 108 is one of those numbers and repetitions that can really help our body, mind, and spirit synchronize and get to a aligned and vibrationally healthy level. So this is why when we do meditations, such as just like simple mantras, we just, have our mala bead, and close your eyes, find a comfortable seated position, and do your mantras. And it's a really zenful, peaceful experience. It's great for people who don't want to just sit there in silence, but they don't know what to do because we are supposed to sit there in silence when we meditate. And so this is more of like it's still a meditation. It's just a more active meditation instead of completely passive meditation. It's not to discount completely passive meditation. And if you cannot do completely passive meditation, then I highly recommend doing completely passive meditation. Let me repeat that. So if you cannot do that, if you can't just sit and close your eyes, close your mouth, breathe, and be quiet, and like for even just 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you want to be risky, um, then I implore you to practice that and to actually still do that, because that is a skill that I believe everybody does need to have. This is like Jedi training. I literally just got a vision of Luke Skywalker sitting in meditation pose, like with his mouth closed and like truly meditating. And it's like that is a skill, and it needs to be trained to everybody. And anyway, but a nice mantra meditation or something is something that is great to throw into your meditation practice to jazz it up a little bit. Maybe if your goal is to meditate, you want to eventually become a daily meditator, but maybe you want to do it 3 days a week or something. Or maybe you do just do it daily. Maybe you just do 5 minutes every day. You're just trying to do 5 minutes. If we're going to be real here, which we are, because this is my podcast and I can do whatever I want here, then I'm going to say you should, like, if you have never practiced it at all and you want to do a realistic but like just gentle kind of way into it, I think 11 minutes is a perfect amount of time. I think it's a perfect amount of time. 11 minutes is juicy. Um, and, or you can at least get pretty juicy, I think, in 11 minutes. It doesn't have to be 30. Now, when I did my yoga teacher trainings, all of that, it was like every single day we did 30 minutes, I think, of seated meditation every single night. And it was like traditional, just quiet, zip it. And then, not all of them there were though, because we did some mantras and stuff too. But majority were zip it ones. And the 30 minutes was a lot to start. I was like, whoa, holy shit, this is taking forever. I can't sit like this. I can't sit this long, blah, blah, blah. It was agonizing. But by about the third, fourth, fifth time, I was like, okay, okay, and really tapping in. And so I do love, if you've got the time and the energy and the space to do 30 minutes a day, if you've never done it before, do your first 40 days, 30 minutes a day. And then after that, drop down to 11 minutes. And you'll be able to drop, after those 40 days of 30 minutes, you'll be able to drop in so fast. You don't need 30 minutes to get into it. You know, you can, to like get in, when I say get into it, I mean like drop in deep, 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 deep. Because once you know like how and how to really, really, really settle in, it happens a lot faster. You know, you don't have as much monkey mind fucking up your shit. You have a lot more clarity, is what I really mean. Um, but yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of funny that I bring this up because like, I think Lent just started last week for the Catholic people. And again, like the whole Jesus 40 days, 40 nights, you know, giving up, sacrificing, blah, blah, blah. It's funny because in my yoga teacher trainings, they talked about that, like the whole 40 days, 40 nights, and how it takes 40 days and 40 nights to make a change and to make it really ingrained. And that's why we were there for, you know, over that. That's why we were there for 6 weeks straight, just over that, like 42 days was our training. So that every single day it was the same schedule every day for 40 days, 40 nights. Like I said, it's 42 technically, but whatever. But to really ingrain something into you. And yeah, I'm a firm believer that that's the truth. Um, and so I do think there is something to Lent as far as like making changes or doing habits or whatever. And so like, fuck New Year's resolutions, you know, because I feel like people just kind of overdo that way too fast. But like Lent, this could be kind of your second chance to jump in on like just changing one habit or maybe adding a habit such as meditation or changing a habit, removing a habit, you know, whatever it is. If you have an unhealthy habit, maybe take that away for that many days, for 40 days, 40 nights and see how you feel after. Or if you want to add something healthy into your life, you know, the meditation could be a great one. Um, so anyway, I digress. I was saying, if you have the time and space, aka if you don't have children, do 30 minutes. Yes, like that's literally the only thing. If you do not have children, I know you have fucking 30 minutes a day to do this. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't lie to me. I have 3 kids. They're quite young still. They're 9, 6, and 4, and um, they are wild, and I love them so 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 much. But by wild, I mean like they require a lot of time and energy and things. So like, yeah, for me to do 30 minutes right now, not to say I couldn't, but to do seated 30 minutes every single day, that would be pretty difficult for me to do it. But 11, I can do any day, every day, whatever. No problem whatsoever. Also, for moms out there with kids, just because your kids are around does not mean you still can't do your meditation. People are like, oh, well, my kids won't leave me alone. Mine won't either. I promise you that. However, they do respect me, you know, and so if I tell them, hey, I'm doing this for 11 minutes, please do not disturb me. And if you are coming in, you better be bleeding. Like something better be really wrong, you know, and I, of course, you know, check all the boxes beforehand, make sure everyone has, like, does anyone need anything? Does anyone need any snacks or food, or make sure everyone's fed first, or water, or anything they could possibly need. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And you can either join me, which means you also have to do exactly what I'm doing, which is sit down and shut the fuck up. I obviously don't say shut the fuck up to them, but, not that they haven't heard me say that in general. Not directed at them though. But yeah, so it's like you can either join me or be wherever you are and I'm just going to do my meditation, you know. And it does not matter if you're just in the other room and you can still hear the TV blaring or whatever. In fact, I welcome it because quite frankly, if you cannot, there's a Buddhist saying where it's like, if you're more or less it says, if you're meditating, you can meditate in the town square or the village square, in the center of the village square and not be disturbed. AKA, it doesn't matter what's going on around you. In fact, welcome it. And the fact of the matter is that you are just letting go of everything. You are coming to your center. And if there's noises out there that are distracting you, that's your job, is to let it go. You hear a noise, but you let it go. You're not following the noise. You're not jumping. You're not bringing your mind to the attention of the noise and trying to figure out where it's coming from, like the outside car horn or the alarm or the TV blaring with some stupid cartoon on it. Like, no, we don't give a shit of what the noise is. Come back to your center. Come back to your center, because that's where your power is. And so just even being, you can meditate in the same fucking room. Like, it does not matter, you know. Um, it does not matter where you are to meditate. So do not ever let that be an excuse or a hindrance as to why you can't meditate. Like, oh, I don't have a nice peaceful room. You're not supposed to. Nobody does. This is life. It's a fucking war zone out there. No, I'm just teasing. Like, yes, it's great to have a nice, beautiful studio or a nice comfy spot or a meditation pillow or a altar area or office space. Any of those things are beautiful and amazing, but they're above and beyond of what you need to do the practice. They're nice, but they're not what you need. What you need is your body, and that's pretty much what we got. So sit your ass down and let's meditate. But anyway, so if you don't want to just close your eyes and not speak, doing 108 meditations or mantras is a great way to keep your mind and body somewhat involved. You know, you're keeping your mouth involved by speaking and your body involved by producing sound. And you're keeping your body involved also by moving the mala beads, you know, one bead at a time, moving it through your fingers, keeping track of your mantras. Um, and this can be a really fun way to get through your meditation. You know, maybe just start off in quiet, silent meditation and then start your 108 mantras. And then when that's done, just take a few breaths, come back to the real world, and move along with your day. I promise you, if you try that, if you try the 108 mantra thing, like you will feel really wild afterwards. You will feel so spiritually high. And I don't mean like spiritually like you'll feel high. You'll feel high as a motherfucker. Um, it's just this really weird feeling. I don't know what to tell you other than just like this almost not in your body, but like you understand, like just a deeper understanding of where you're at in the universe. And it's really beautiful and it's really amazing and magical. And, yeah, so if you need some of that in your life, some amazing magic, which don't we fucking all? Um, then I suggest attuning yourself with that. Um, you're like, well, I don't know a mantra. Like a mantra could literally be anything. It could be like, may all beings be happy and free. And that's literally the mantra that I said at the beginning of this podcast. Um, I said it in Sanskrit, which is Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. But if you don't want to learn that, you don't want to say that, just fine. We can just speak our own English language here. And you can just say, may all beings be happy and free. And that's the mantra. So with every bead, you can say it out loud or you can say it in your head. Same fucking difference, doesn't matter. Um, may all beings be happy and free. May all beings be happy and free. May all beings be happy and free. And you just continue that. You can do Om, just the simple word Om. And in fact, I highly recommend starting with that because it's simple, it's ancient, and it's a connection point um, to that 108 vibration. So I think Om is a great one. And that's one that is also very easily synchronized with your breath. So when you do sit to meditate, you take your breath in through the nose, deep breath in, and then when you exhale, if you're doing this out loud, I suppose, you can think out loud or say out loud, Om, Om. Breathe in, Om. Breathe in, Om. So basically, you're just saying Om on your exhale. And so that's also a really fun and beautiful way to synchronize the body, breath, mind, spirit connection. Is just doing that. And so, like I said, it's easiest to keep track of that when you're just have mala beads because you're speaking something, so it's hard to keep count, obviously. It's hard to speak and count at the same time, at least for me. If you can, great. You super processing genius. But I cannot. So a mala bead or mala necklace is great. I'm sure you can find some at any spiritual shop in your town. I highly support the whole just shop local. Um, Shop nearest to you as well, like stuff that's already close, that's already here, locally to you, because then you can go get it, and then you have it, and then that's great. Versus it getting sent to you from like across the country, across the world, or whatever, because like when it's something you could have gotten that's much locally closer to you, um, just for the earth's sake and everyone's, I mean, and so if it's for the earth's sake, I think that I can reasonably say it's for everyone's sake. Um, so yeah, try to shop local first. I'm sure your local spiritual shop or yoga studio or something might have mala beads, bead necklaces. Or you can make one. I just had the idea. My friends just came over the other day, which is like such a fun phrase to say. As a mom in my mid 30s, like to say like, oh, I had friends over the other day, like, whoa, scandalous. Anyway, nothing was scandalous about it really. But we did make keychain bead bracelet things. Not bracelets, but we could have made bracelets. But we made these pretty beaded keychains with these cute fishies and stuff on them. And it was just so much fun. But that being said, you could totally make your own mala necklace if you just went to like your local Michael's or Joann's or something or bead store. There's lots of cool bead stores around. And you had some little tools you could easily bead yourself. Either you could use metal or you can use cotton string. I think almost not all, but quite a few, majority of my malas have been made with cotton string. And then there's just like a knot tied between each bead to keep them along on there, like on their in their specific spot. But you could also do this with metal chain, I suppose. So making one could also be really beautiful and powerful. You can make it with I have like a moonstone one, so you could do moonstone beads. It's really nice to do like natural I was gonna say substances, but that makes it sound like we're talking about drugs. Natural materials. There we go. That's the word. So like stone. I have a jasper, a really pretty jasper mala bead necklace. Um, what else? I have one that has 9 different stones on it, and again, the 9 times 12 is 108, and those 9 stones do each represent a different planet. So yeah, that one was a really easy sell to me. This guy in India in this beautiful uh jewelry shop, he totally pegged me and my friend Gabby was like, "You astrology bitches who love yoga in India, come to me. And so we did, and yeah, he's like, look at this mala, like this one's got, 9 beads, each of these represent a planet, and blah blah blah. And we're like, sold, we're in. We are in like Flynn. So, um, yeah, a lot of them are stone. I was given a Raj chakra or something like that. I'm butchering the name, but it's basically Shiva beads is what it's known for. But it's a seed. It's actually a seed from a certain tree in India. And they're beautiful. They have like all these like really wild grooves on the outside, and they're extremely hard. And I don't exactly remember the story as to why they're directly related to Shiva, but I was given that mala by a rishi or a sage or walking not a guru, but I don't know, a wandering spiritual man in India, and I spent like an entire day with him, and we just walked throughout the village, and he just told me all sorts of wild things, and it was really a really beautiful day. Sat down on the side of the road and did all like just yeah, it was crazy. A lot of fun though, and beautiful. Just so much truth and rawness. Oh my God, I love India. If you haven't noticed. Anyway, but so like that was a like wood bead necklace. So wood beads are also a great material because they also get softer and stuff over time, and they will pick up oils, and they just age beautifully. I do love wood, so wood beads are also a good option. Also, probably more economical than some stones. So if you're looking to like do this on a cheap way, like buying 108 wooden beads in some red or yellow or white or whatever color you want, string or cotton or whatever to string it would be a really fun project. Anyway, there's a craft for you, my friend. Or you could just buy one locally or go on Etsy and find one. There's tons of them on Etsy, and you can like search for like wherever, try and find it as locally close as possible to you. Anyway, yeah, so I highly recommend using Om as your first mantra to try that out. Also, if you're feeling more active, trying out the 108 sun salutations. That is a trip, and it's super beautiful and fun. And then just make sure you do a nice long savasana after that. Give yourself the grace, like 30 minutes. Like just after those 108, just lay there, and that can be your meditation, is just laying there for 30 minutes and breathing and feeling that. So, um, yeah. So that's kind of my breakdown on 108. Its sacredness, its repetition through nature and the universe and time and space and this wonderful thing we call humanity and our lives. And yeah, how we can use it, I guess, to better our own life experience. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this informative. I had a blast chatting with you, and I can't wait till next time. So until then, give some meditation or some mantra chanting a try. If you want to dive deeper, yeah, maybe order yourself a mala necklace. That could be a great tool. Be a great tool. I'm going to say something really controversial. And by controversial, I mean, I think a mala necklace is probably a better investment in your spiritual practice than a yoga mat. Oh, shit. I said it. I said it. The yoga teacher said it. You don't need a yoga mat. I mean, it's nice to have a yoga mat, but you don't need one. You absolutely don't need one. It's helpful. You can use a beach towel. You could literally use a beach towel and get just as much, if not more, out of it. So I get sometimes the slippiness is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but even just a super cheap rubber gym mat um, underneath a beach towel can be a super economical and totally fine way to practice yoga. Doing it on carpet in a room without a specific mat is also a totally fine way to practice yoga. Doing it on a big area rug is a totally fine way to practice yoga. A yoga mat is nice, but again, it's not needed. Like I just said, and for all those reasons, I guess I would say a mala bead necklace would be better for you. So check it out. Check it out. But if you were to buy a mat, if we're gonna go down that rabbit hole, I highly recommend like a woven mat. Like, and you're gonna have to Google it, and it'll probably come up as like yoga rug or something, because that's basically what it is. And it's nice if it can be cotton, like a cotton woven, organic cotton woven yoga mat slash rug. That's what you want to look for. Um, that's what I trained on. 13 years ago for the first time in India, and that was my first time on one of those woven mat, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? This is so hard." But my teachers were like, "This is the most amazing thing for you because your stupid United States mats are just rubbery things, and you can just stick to it, and you don't have to engage your muscles." With our rugs, you do have to engage both your adductors and your abductors. We're speaking specifically in like a standing pose. Um, muscles in order to maintain the pose, which is the point of the pose, is to like awaken and a lot like bring energy to all these points of your body. So if you're just pushing in and kind of, if we were to think about like a warrior one pose, so let's say your left foot is in front, your right foot is in back. If you're on a sticky mat, it's pretty easy to maintain the pose because you get your spacing correct, you get that bend in your left knee, you press back through that right foot, and you're really just pushing out because your mat is so sticky that you're just pushing out and you can just stand there. Well, on a like woven rug, um, cotton, or sometimes they're like a wool cotton blend. There is no stick factor. You're just really using the rug for like, this is my space, and you can use it for alignment too. It helps, are my hands aligned? Is this in line here? Like, you can check yourself a little bit more when you have parameters. So, um, anyway, so when you use a yoga rug, and let's say you're in that same warrior one, left side, you got that left foot in the front, left or right foot in the back. Once when you're settled, aka settled, I say settled as if you're not like actively working. You're very much actively working. When you're in that pose on a rug, you're both pushing out and pulling in because there is no stick factor to this rug. So you're pushing out on one hand to be able to maintain this pose, but your so anatomy friends or doctors or nurses, those people out there, um, we'll know we have our abductor muscles and our adductor muscles. So our abductor muscles pull out and lift up, kind of. So like your legs moving out is your like kind of moving towards like a split. It's causing your outer leg muscles there to pull up, aka adducting and pulling those legs apart. Conversely, or on the opposite end of that wasn't the way to use that word, sorry. On the other side of that coin, you have your adductor muscles, which in this case of your legs would be kind of the insides of your thighs, which then pull your legs back together to a regular standing position, aka adducting, aka pulling that together, aka two totally different sets of muscles. Like I just said, the one was completely all the inside of the leg. The other one was, those muscles were all the outside of the legs and the hips and the glutes. So two totally different muscle sets, two totally different purposes. One is to pull out, one is to pull in. So when you're using this yoga rug, you are both pulling out and pulling in at the same time, aka really, really engaging your entire muscular system, really hugging those joints with your muscles, really pulling your entire body into alignment, like a true alignment that you are in control of. And that is where you see leaps and bounds in your practice, is when you're practicing in this way where it's a full body exercise, where if you're using a sticky mat or a rubbery mat or a one that says it's super grippy, if it's using any of that terminology, you're cheating. And again, I'm not trying to be mean or point fingers. But it is very, very, very much easier to do it on those types of things. And you're also cheating your own body and your own self and your own joints by doing it on those types of things. But it's not like anyone's trying to be a cheater. They're just like, we didn't know the rules of the game, man. That's at least how I felt when I was an American walking onto a yoga rug and my teacher's yelling at me, slapping my legs this way, that, being like, engage your muscles. It was fucking intense. It was like yoga boot camp, One point I remember being in a back bend and my teacher came up to me and he put his arms like on my kind of abdomen area, and he like did a handstand essentially, or an arm stand on me. And that was a test. That was towards the end. But that was a test, That was, everyone's in the room, everyone's practicing chakrasana, wheel pose, and he's walking around and everybody looking at everybody and I have a really nice wheel pose, and especially 13 years ago, but he was like, okay, you might be flexible, but are you strong? Lady? And he put me to the test, and I totally fucking passed that test, which was amazing. And it kind of, everyone in the room went silent and just jaws dropped. The people were like, oh, what the fuck's going on over there? And it was really, really cool. And I was shaking. I was like, oh my God, this guy, wait, what? Oh shit, he's really doing this. Okay, I got to hold on and fully engage, adductors, abductors, everything. My entire being needs to be focused in and locked in right now. And that is the point of fucking yoga. That is the point of doing these asanas. That is the point, is to learn how to lock in on life, really. But it's to learn how to lock in those situations and to engage your whole body and to really use your whole mind, body, soul in alignment to accomplish something. And then taking that off the mat and using it in your entire life, and keeping your body as clean of a temple and as useful as a temple as possible for the spirit to ride in for, hopefully, like, again, this is kind of funny, but maybe 108 years. I think that would be cool, because everyone's like, oh, to live to 100 would be cool. Like, 100 would be cool, but 108 would be even cooler. So, yeah. Anyway, I just went on another big rant after our whole 108 thing, but I will truly wrap up now and give this one up to the pod and hit end on this recording. So, namaste, my friends. It's been real. One love, one light. And yeah, I hope this helps your journey along the way, somehow, some way. All right. Love you. Bye.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti